Hey, what's going on? It's Willis here. I just want to take a moment to thank you for taking the time to watch this. I believe that time is one of our most valuable assets and resources that we can't ever get back. So I really appreciate you being here. This video is an overview of my group coaching program called the Fellowship of One. It's a fellowship because we are going to be a community of men who are in this uh, who are in this group. We're in this program. It's going to be a 12-month program. I'll get into the details in a little bit. At the same time, though, it's a personal journey of transformation, of inner work, of confronting our shadows, of healing, of discovering our truths, and living in more alignment. And so it's a fellowship, it's also an individual journey, and it's also a oneness and a unity in all of us because I believe that we are all a part of one universal divine energy, and we are all members of Team Human. Before I begin, I'd like to reference the Serenity Prayer, which grants us the serenity to accept what we cannot change, have the courage to change things that we can, and to have the wisdom to know the difference. I'd say that pretty much summarizes the process of maturing. So without further ado, let's dive in. I'd like to begin with this quick self-assessment exercise. You can pause the video if you want, or just think through it as I talk about it. And so we can divide life into several components: health, wealth, and relationships in general on a macro level. Here, there's 6 pieces, and you can kind of label them however you want. It's up to you. These are just some examples. So, for example, your health, your business or your work, personal passions or hobbies, extracurricular activities. You can talk about friends, you can talk about family, romantic relationship, life partner, etc. Whatever you want to put in there. And in each category, rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 5, how you perceive you're doing, as well as rate yourself 1 to 5 on how much effort you devote to each of the categories, and just see what shows up for you after doing that exercise. I know for me, right now, the lowest on my scale or the lowest category is my business and the work that I'm trying to do, and which is why that's where I'm devoting most of my effort. Just as an aside, if you complete this exercise and feel like you are firing on all cylinders and you have at least a 3, I'd say, in each category, it means you're doing pretty well. Of course, we can always do better. And I would probably say that you wouldn't need to be in my program, because what I really want to do is be able to assist those who have an area in their life that they feel that they need, that they are lacking in, that they need some support and guidance and accountability in. So if you feel like you're doing well in life, there's not necessarily a need for you to watch the rest of this video, although you're certainly more than welcome to. I'm just sharing that this is for men who do need some extra support in a specific area of their life. And so, with that being said, in whichever area you have a 1 or a 2 in, I invite you to think about or journal what are the big challenges or what specifically is causing you the most pain right now. And this could be a combination of external factors, external or internal factors. And I'll talk about that here. So, we're all going through some challenge, whether that's something related to family, finances, or work, self sabotaging behaviors like addictions or procrastination, emotional issues like constant frustration or anger, just a general feeling of like not feeling great, of not feeling passionate, not having much clarity or discipline, etc., etc. Whatever it may be, it's totally normal that we go through this. And on the other hand, I trust that most of you do have big goals and dreams. Of course, we do all want to live with excitement and with abundance and with happiness, and we do want to be and achieve more. But we kind of find ourselves in this inner battle between who we are and who we want to be. And with challenges specifically, if you're here and watching this video, I trust that you understand, at least intellectually, that life is about resolving problems. That's where we derive our meaning. Um, a smooth sea never made a skillful sailor. And when we overcome obstacles, when we confront challenges, we encourage the growth of the human spirit. And while we understand this rationally, when we're in the middle of an issue or a problem in our lives, sometimes it is hard to maintain that resilience and that positive attitude, especially if the solution isn't immediately clear to us. And when the solution isn't clear, we do have a tendency to withdraw and distract ourselves, and maybe not, and just try to avoid that situation. But when we avoid that situation, it doesn't go away, right? And oftentimes it gets worse over time. And so, my question for you is, what are you currently avoiding in your life, if anything? And for me, for a while, it was sales. And it was sales because I grew up privileged. And with that came a little bit of entitlement. I certainly can make money in other ways. And I also don't like getting rejected. And sales, obviously, there's rejection involved with that. And so for a long time, I avoided it. But I realized that, you know, it's not going to go away. And the only way for me to grow is to confront what I fear doing most, right? What we fear doing most is usually what we most need to do. And life is unpredictable, often feels beyond our control. We're perpetually vulnerable. And the only real way to achieve certainty is to continue to improve ourselves and gain competence in life. Oftentimes that is through facing our fears. And mythologically speaking, thank you to Uncle Jay, Dr. Jordan Peterson, uh, the treasure is, you can usually only get the treasure by slaying the dragon of chaos, right? Again, what we most want to find is usually found where we least want to look. And for me, that's through sales. So I'm asking what that is for you. We often do what we do often do what feels comfortable, myself included, and we do tend to retreat back to find because we think it keeps us safe and secure. But in the long term, it doesn't. And the longer we dwell in inaction and in avoidance, the more painful the cost becomes. And the price we pay for that avoidance will always outweigh its temporary benefits. Jim Rohn, I believe, says that uh, the pain of discipline weighs ounces and the pain of regret weighs tons. And so, we all have a choice to pick our compromise, to pick our sacrifice. And we can either suffer the pain of discipline, and the pain of courage, or suffer the pain of regret. I like this quote at the top. I forgot to mention it. The tragedy of life is not death, but what we let die inside of us as we live. As children, we do have these big dreams and this big potential and big belief and hope. And then for a lot of people, as they age, life starts to beat us down, and we lose a part of ourselves. And because of how we survive through conditioning and pain avoidance, that's just what happens. We build up shields, we build up walls to protect ourselves. But that that's that hides who we truly are, and it leads to a lot of unhappiness, unfulfillment, bitterness, and resentment. And so I understand what that's like, and that's why it's so important for me, and I'm so passionate, despite my monotone voice, of sharing this information, and sharing this journey, hopefully with all of you. So, what is my solution to all this? My solution is what I'm calling for now the Fellowship of One. It's my group coaching program. And so, my vision is to create a community of men who aspire to become empowered leaders for themselves, in their families, in their communities, et cetera, who aim to embody excellence. And none of us are perfect. We're all human. We make mistakes. We go up and we go down. But in general, I want to create a community of men who aspire to embody excellence, who are passionate about growth and personal development, etc., and who wish to contribute to the world in a way that is personally meaningful. So that will look different for everybody, but to have the purpose of doing that, and men who want to surround themselves with other like-minded men uh, who believe in these things as well, and together we can support one another to pursue our noble missions in life, and we can each encourage each other to show up as the best version of ourselves, best versions of ourselves. So why a group? Kind of like I mentioned, when a well-functioning group and working as a team can be easier and often more enjoyable than trying to do everything on our own. I'm a bit of a lone wolf, and this is something for me to learn as well, that if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And so this is about getting there together. We all have blind spots. We all don't know what we don't know. And having um, a group around you can help offer perspectives, uh, trade notes, encouragement, accountability, et cetera, et cetera. And why is this only for men? I personally believe that an energetic container or a space composed of only men is an incredibly unique and powerful tool. This doesn't to say that I'm not against women or anything. Both genders, both energies have their place, and I think there is spaces that is important for there to be only men, and spaces for there to be only women, and spaces in which we work together as well. But there's something unique and powerful about a group that's solely male. This is what I believe. And our ancestors often had these groups, often based on necessity, whether they were hunting together or fighting together or whatever it may be. There was more of that segregation in certain aspects of life. And I think modern men need that and miss that. We do need spaces to drop into our vulnerability, to give and receive mutual feedback, to heal, to integrate, and to love and be loved, and to challenge and be challenged. I also believe that modern men do crave this new paradigm of masculinity that values depth, values presence, integrity, increased emotional awareness, and more conscious love. So, who is this group for? This group is for you if you do want to become part of an accepting and supportive space in which you can voice your challenges, you can give and receive that feedback and accountability and encouragement. This is also for you if you believe it is important to connect with other like-minded men who are taking responsibility for their lives and who wish to live with more intention and purpose as well. It's for you if you recognize that it can be beneficial for you to have some external accountability and perspective that could help you develop more courage, more discipline, more resilience. We don't have to be all alone and try to figure everything out on our own. This is also for you if you hope to embody a kind of masculine energy that is deep, that is grounded, emotionally aware, protective, loving, encouraging, and committed to growth. This group is for you if you believe that it's important to live in integrity, to live in an alignment with some higher calling, or that you would know that you would be unsatisfied if you weren't living in alignment with a higher calling and figuring out what that higher calling is for you. And if you're ready to overcome any self-sabotaging patterns that are holding you back. So, getting into some of the program details. So again, I want to stress that this everything that I'm going to mention are opportunities and not obligations, because I want this program to be flexible and helpful rather than stressful. And so I want to make it a long program, 12 months, because that gives you more time to integrate and more time to take action and make the transformations, but also adds some flexibility in there for you to work at your pace. And because life gets in the way and sometimes we get busy, and I don't want this program to stress you, I want it to be there for you if and when you need it, and not feel like you have to make every call or whatever. So the first part of it is our pre-recorded video lessons and exercises that you will be able to complete at your own pace. And it's going to be based off the Divine Wisdom Roadmap, which I'll give you an overview of here in the next slide. All my names are pending, by the way, so those are just the names I have for them right now. The next part of it is a weekly group coaching or feedback call. That will be where you'll get personal Zoom call access with me on a weekly basis to address any questions, comments, concerns, issues, challenges that's going on, that's showing up for you. And again, you don't have to, there's no pressure to make every single call. It's just there if you need it. And if you don't make it, that's totally fine. So there's no pressure there. The next piece is a private members only community with the other men in this group, in this container. And there we'll be able to share that encouragement, that accountability, support, and perspective. And lastly, to minimize the risk to you, this is going to be a monthly, based on monthly pricing. That way, I do want it to be a 12-month program because that gives you the time, and transformation takes time. But it'll be monthly pricing so that every month, any month, you can decide to cancel if you feel like the program is not serving you, it's not adding value, it's not worth it, or for whatever reason, we can have a conversation and you can cancel. So I want it to be as low risk for you as possible. With this program, the Fellowship of One, there's going to be the Divine Wisdom Roadmap that we will follow. There is going to be the fundamental framework, which we may refer to. And that's just the framework I created to win at games in life. There's going to be Life System Design, LSD. Yes, the acronym is intentional. The major games, so some key information in health, wealth, and relationships that we may reference as well. And a template, a Google Sheet template that I use to plan my life, basically, to plan my mission, my quarterly, monthly, weekly, daily goals, etc. Key performance indicators, all that. So that's there if and when you feel the need or desire to adopt that, to add some structure into your life. Lastly, I'll just reiterate and say that I personally believe that men and women are different and that we serve different roles in life, equally important. And men specifically have a unique and powerful responsibility as providers and protectors. And I also believe that courageous, competent, and resilient men are indispensable to a well-functioning society. So this is the overview of the roadmap. There's going to be 7 sections or modules based on the 7 chakras in an order that I felt made sense for me. And I won't go into too much detail, but just in general, on a high level overview, I'm going to talk about spirituality and what that means for me, uh, and how adopting that belief could be beneficial for you in how you navigate life, and it could help you be more resilient and live with more integrity, and provide some tools and resources and exercises in that realm. The next step is cultivating an awareness of who we are as humans, what our needs are, what is the hierarchy of needs, why we're so messed up. We kind of go into childhood trauma, and what causes us to put on the mask, and what causes us to adopt our defense mechanisms. And understanding ourselves allows us to have awareness of why we are the way that we are, but it also allows us to have more compassion with others, because we realize that they are acting out their wounds as well, often uh, unintentionally. And so we have more compassion and patience when dealing with other people, and are less likely to be triggered or annoyed. Next, we have honoring the body, or the physical container of our existence. And a lot of life is embedded in our bodies. And so we talk a little bit about our physical health. We talk about how to embody masculinity. We talk about emotions as well, because emotions are very physical in nature. We feel them based on the neurochemistry and all that stuff. So we discuss all of that. In part 4, we develop clarity um, with our life, with our purpose, with our beliefs, our mission, etc., etc. And so we can live with more alignment and intention. And that segues well into 5, which is how to execute that mission with intention, how to overcome procrastination, or take steps to overcome it, to develop habits, to develop that consistency, to optimize our energy levels so that we can take massive action. Number 6 is communicating truth. So being vulnerable, being verbally fluent, confronting what scares us, and living more in our truth, which helps us uh, connect better with ourselves. And when we can connect with ourselves, we can connect with others, and also allows us to show up with more courage. And lastly, to tie it all up, is embodying love, living with more humility and grace, understanding suffering, alleviating our own suffering, hopefully alleviating the suffering of others, becoming more present, and embracing just the overall unity that will lead to hopefully more peace and abundance for the world in the future. So this is just a high level overview. The details may change as I refine and update this roadmap, but that's what it is for now. So I wanted to include this slide because I made it way back when, one of the first slides in iteration 1 of my journey of this work. And it's a cliche life coaching slide of considering where you were before, let's say 4 years ago, and where you are now, whether you think you're better off. You may be better off externally in certain ways, but are you better off internally? Do you feel like you're making meaningful progress? Because at the end of the day, that's what's most important, is how we feel and our perception of our lives. Next is imagining how you would feel if you felt like you were living in an extraordinary quality of life, and how you would feel if you were excited every day, if you loved what you were doing every day, if you felt a profound sense of fulfillment and gratitude from the things that you were doing, from the contributions you were making. And I can tell you that this is a lofty goal. We all have our ups and downs day in and day out. But I would say that overall, the nobler the aim that you have for your life, the better your life becomes. And so I would encourage you to think about that um, as you go through your day-to-day life. So, who am I, right? I'm Willis. I'm an American of Taiwanese descent. So who are you? You're Willis. That's your name. That's not who you are. That's from anger management, I think. But anyways, always been interested in athletics, history, psychology, personal development, and more. I spent most of my 20s in the military, in the Marine Corps, worked at an entrepreneurial coaching company, and then traveled while undergoing my own inner journey. I realized that much of my 20s was focused on like personal development and developing as an individual and as a man, and that's why it naturally segued into the work that I'm hoping to do now and what I hope to share. Prior to the work that I have done on myself, uh, especially over the last few years, I used to be quite judgmental of myself. I used to be quite judgmental of others. I never felt like I was enough. I had some insecurity in that and overcompensated with achievement. I also excessively drank for a large part of my 20s, despite despising that habit from my father when I was a child. So it just frustrated and upset me more that even though I knew this was not good for me, I kept doing it and I couldn't seem to stop. I also didn't have a great relationship with my dad, I would say. I also didn't have a great relationship with women in general, especially kind of when the whole new age feminism came around, and a lot of women seemed, based on like YouTube videos or whatever, that they were blaming the patriarchal tyranny, that men were devalued. There's a crisis of masculinity, a lot of like toxic masculinity talk, and so I had a very antagonistic view towards that. Um, and since then I've definitely grown and healed, and it seems like it's the chatter in society has quieted down regarding that as well. But the timing was just impeccable with that in terms of where I was in my development and what society was saying or what I was hearing. And in general, just a lot of shame, some regret, and unworthiness that was present that I projected. But since embarking on this journey, I do feel a lot more blessed. I feel a lot more at peace, a lot more forgiving, a lot more loved, much more grateful and compassionate. And like anybody, I have my ups and downs, but I definitely noticed a big transformation in myself over the years, and journey still ongoing, of course. I'm doing a lot better with alcohol. I'm almost never blacking out. I'm certainly not doing anything stupid or anything I would regret the next day. Never anything major, but um, I do have a much more healthy outlook with regards to the feminine gender. I feel much better about where I am with my family, and I definitely have overcome a lot of the insecurity and unworthiness that led to a lot of the procrastination. In general, I've never been more excited and about what I'm doing and what I'm sharing and what I seek to create and give. So happy about that. So, as with any sales deck, I need to impart some urgency, even though it is true. If not now, when? Right? The current life we lead is a result of intentions and decisions from the past, because our world relies on action. Transformation takes time, and there's just a lag between a decision or a vision and making it happen in reality. We see this in society as well, right? Taking the US as an example, a bunch of checks and balances that make it feel like it takes forever for society to catch up with the times. And, it's oftentimes a blessing in disguise, because whereas things that could change very quickly for the better could also very quickly change for the worst. So imagine that if you just smoked one cigarette, you would get lung cancer. That would be really difficult. And so that would be a tough reality to live in. And so the grace and the mercy that we receive, and can go both ways. So success or failure, however you define that, requires consistency and requires continual pushes in a certain direction. This is the idea behind the slight edge. And time is ultimately what's going to magnify the margin between success or failure, due to compounding, which, as Albert Einstein says, is the eighth wonder of the world. You either use it or pay it. And so my point is that whatever you're going through, it's going to take time to overcome. You can make a decision instantaneously, but adopting a new way of life or instilling new habits, a new identity, obtaining new results, all takes time. And the timing will never be perfect. So rather than hope for completion in anything in life, while a lot of us wish we did certain things earlier, the next best time to start is always now. So I do have to share that. And lastly, on asking for help, I know that it's difficult to admit to or to ask for help, especially as men, who, we often have a natural desire to be self-sufficient. We can be pretty competitive, and some people perceive asking for help as a weakness. Instead, I don't believe that's weakness. I think what is weak is having an issue or a problem and ignoring it, or distracting ourselves from it, not having the courage and being too afraid to confront whatever the uncomfortable situations or emotions may be. I like this quote from Peaceful Warrior. The warrior is not about perfection or victory or invulnerability. He's about absolute vulnerability. And so this was hard for me to recognize and be aware of, but if you're watching this, the fact of the matter is that I need your help, right? Because right now, as you can tell, this being on a Loom video, it's very low budget. I'm not making a lot of money. I'm living with my parents. I just have one client, and all I have right now is this dream of what I hope to create and what I hope to share. And so, I need your help to give me a shot, to believe in me and what I am hoping to make. Um, and so, yeah, that's what I'm asking for, is for that leap of faith to believe in me, and and what this community can be. So if any of this resonated with you, if you feel like you're interested in joining me on this journey and being a part of this program, go ahead. There's going to be a link to an application below. You can go ahead and fill this out. And the reason I have it is to ensure that we're a good mutual fit, and also for me to get to know you a bit more. And then after that, I will reach out, schedule a call, answer any questions, and finalize any details, and hopefully, if everything checks out, to get you enrolled and started in the program. So thank you again for taking the time to watch this. This is something that's deeply meaningful to me, and I hope that you will consider joining me on this journey.